Good evening, folks. It's time for some more development work, and tonight we are going to have a relaxing evening and just fix a few little issues. A few minor annoyances that kind of grind on your teeth, those little things that you should fix, but you never kind of get around to it. Well, tonight we're going to try and get around to it. Okay, so a couple of the issues is we're going to take a look at, let's have a look at it, okay? Let's have a look. So, minor issue number one is we can do this currently in the game. Okay? And we don't want to. Okay, we don't want the... Hey, Jamie. We don't want our conveyor belts to be able to go through objects. Okay? Oh, I was actually having a sleep earlier on, and as I look now, I just see your message now. Yeah, no rush, mate. You do what you got to do. Right, so what we're going to have to do is get away to make sure that our mesh does not collide with, as I said, Jamie, don't worry about it. If you work on it, you work on it. If you don't, you don't. So, what we're going to have to do is add, well, there's two ways we can do this, okay? There's a couple of ways we can do this. We can see if there's a collision on the actual mesh itself. So when we actually draw the mesh, then we see if it generates a collision. Okay? Unfortunately, well, we might be able to do this here. Let's check it out, right? We'll check in on component begin overlap, right? Let's see if this actually overlaps. Okay, we'll print string. Okay. We'll stick down other actor in here so we get a display. We can save that. And we can try this. Okay. And the easiest way to do this and that is not colliding. Now that is very possibly because our building does not collide. Right, I'm pretty sure I've switched off all collisions for this, but I'm not 100% sure, so we'll just check it out. So if we click on the buildings, go to BP based building, then we click on the platform mesh, and where is the collision stuff? Physics. Collision. Okay. So we'll set it to block all. Okay. And we shall save that. Now, what we should do now is, can ever affect navigation, right? So it's going to affect the nav mesh. Okay, and I can't quite seem to grab this in the right position, but we shall see. Now, this might still not work, and it might not end up being the solution we want anyway, but we're just trying a few things here. As I said, we're having a relaxing evening, and that is still not colliding. Now the question is that actually colliding? I would have to say yes. Now you'll see these begin to do weird things because of the collision, but our mesh is not colliding. Okay. Now, that could be a couple of things, right? Our actual mesh might not have collision on it, even though it probably should. So if we go into the code, right, and if we go to draw the spline, okay, I'm pretty sure this is the thing that draws the spline, and this is it here. Now where, right, okay. Now where is it that we actually set up the spline? And it's not here because this is not connected, okay? So where do we set up this? Okay. Where is it that we add the actual static mesh? I can't remember where we set the static mesh for the spline. Well, this is a bit embarrassing because I can't remember. It's in here. We do something like this. Alright, and that's a spline mesh component. Ah, we click here. Well, that was obvious. Right, so we have our mesh, and does it have collision? Apparently it does. Okay. So we shall try that again. Now the question is, was that an instance mesh or not? I don't think so. I don't think I'm setting these up as instance meshes, so right, so this is still not colliding. Okay. So, with that in mind, we need to do it a different way. Or we do use simple as complex. Save that. Right. And we can try this again. This was the first method. I have got another method that I can use which is going to work. Now, we're still not. So it's still not colliding with anything. Okay. So the question has to be, if we stop that for now, let's see if it generates an event hit. Now, if it doesn't do an overlap, I'm guessing it's not going to do a hit either, but we'll just test it. Okay. As I said, I should have done a little bit of homework on this to find out the general consensus of how you do this. Now, if what we should do is hit this, and that's still not hitting that, right? So there's no way that this is hitting anything. Okay, now what we can do is, before we place it down, we can check, we can fire out a line trace to see if we've hit anything on the way past. Okay, I'm just wondering if there's anything else here. So it's not doing that, it's not doing any of that, it's not hitting anything. And it's just doing absolute jack. Okay. So what we'll do is when we add to spline, okay, so we want to make sure that we add a breakpoint there, right? And I'll show you why we're doing that. So if we press play, when we do a spline, we need to wait for these to become active. So we'll wait just a second. There we go. And there we go. Right? So we can get the previous point which is this, right? And we can fire it to the end point, which is this. And if it hits something, then we don't do anything. Okay? So let's try that and see if we can do it, right? So what we shall do is line trace by channel. Okay, and let's give ourselves a bit more space here. So we're going to move it that way a bit because we're going to have our line trace first. So what we're going to do is we're going to fire out, oops a daisies, don't be doing that. Right, so we're going to join up here. Right, and we're going to take our spline point here and I'm not 100% sure what this is going to be. Right, so what we'll do is we shall split this. Okay, so we'll split that pin there. Then we shall split this. Okay. Then we shall give it an arbitrary Z of 5. Then we shall split that. And we're going to plug that in there. Okay, we're not going to plug that in there. We're going to plug it in there. And then we can plug that in there. And we can give it a 5. Also. And what we'll do is we break our hit result. Now we don't care where it actually hits. All we care about is what it hits, right? So what we'll do is we'll do a print string. And we're going to bring it up, let's say, for 10 seconds. And that's going to be hit actor. Okay. Then we're going to be printing that. And then we shall just draw it anyway for now. Okay. And we shall basically just drag that out a bit. Drag that over a bit and down a bit. That can go over a bit. Right. So now we should be able to detect if we hit something. Okay. So we can draw that and that. Then we can. That's the other thing I'm going to fix. Well, that's hit something straight away. Well, no, it hasn't. Disable. Resume. Okay. And there we go. Now, that's pretty interesting. Because that ain't hitting our buildings. Now it does hit the rocket launcher, but it doesn't hit our buildings. Right? So there's something in our building that is stopping it from generating a hit. Right, we'll try one more thing, right? Let's just do one more thing for now. So, if we go to maps, right? And what we'll do is we'll go to buildings, right? And we'll actually draw on the other side, right? What we'll do is we'll put it over here somewhere. So we shall drag in a fabricator, right? But we'll drag it down a bit so that we're hitting something. And now if we press play, okay, well, we should be able to just build a smelter over here. Okay. And if that's that ain't gonna block anything, that's not hitting anything. Right, so that's kinda, wait a minute, what did that just hit? That just hit something. Did it hit the landscape? Am I hallucinating? I'm sure it hit something there. Yeah, my cursor's hitting it. Okay. But our building, I have a, no, I just have a blank for the smelter. It's like just this. I'll show you. It's just basically a box with a stupid texture that doesn't even go on it, right? That's it. That's the smelter. Okay? It's just a box with a couple of cylinders on it. Right, so there is something stopping our collision, basically. Now, that would suggest this doesn't even have a blueprint. I don't think. Okay, well, maybe it does. Right, but let's see what we've got here. And it's yes and block all. Right, so that's exactly the same as everything else. So that is basically the same as our fabricator, right? It's exactly the same. Right? Building mesh. So we'll block all, platform mesh, block all, and that's all we need. Right, so we'll play that, and now when we do it, this should definitely block. Yeah, so Jamie, the smelter I've got is just basically a placeholder. It's nothing more, nothing less. Right, and this still isn't colliding. It's not colliding with anything. Right? So that is super weird. Now, I'm just wondering here, right? Have I switched this off or something on the actual fabricator? Right, this is ridiculous. Yeah, this might be the issue. That I've actually switched off. Well, that should have blocked. So that's kind of weird. Right, so we'll press play again. So we'll get our conveyor. And we're not getting anything. I must say, yeah, I've hit the button there, so. You see, that just doesn't work, but as soon as I go over, it does work. Right, so that is just bizarre. So I'm going to stop that for now. Right, that is a possible investigate later type issue. Okay. Now, the one thing I do want to look at in here is these things here. Right, these boxes, the input and output boxes, and especially the output, which hasn't got a box. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate that, and then I'm going to plug it into here. And then we're going to zero it. Okay. And then we're going to change the height to, let's change it to 24. In fact, to 12. and then we'll drag it up a bit. And what I want to do is I want to use that box as an overlap, right? So like I begin cursor over, but it's going to actually do the same thing as the plane, right? So it's plane 002, and I should really rename them. So that is going to go over there. Okay. And then we're going to do an end cursor over for the same thing. Which is going to go here. So the reason I'm doing that is because earlier on it's getting annoying that the plane is so pernickety about the mouse over thing, right? It is so blooming pernickety. And what I can do is, if we go back to our original map, right? So we drag down here, back to our original map, main menu, press play, continue, and now we've got the fabricator, right? We've just did the fabricator, so this should work really well. Okay, so when we do this and we hit that, you see, that's bizarre. That it goes off at all. How can that not be over the mouse? Not be over that? Right, look at that. Right, that's still flashing even though I'm completely over that. Completely over that box. Right, so I'll tell you what, right? What we'll do is we'll get that box and we'll move it right up. So it's above the plane. Right, so that's above the plane. Okay. And then we'll make it so it's 6 high. And then we'll make it so it's still above the plane. Okay. And there we go. And we shall save that. And conveyors, that it's not active yet, so we just need to wait on this a minute. Right. Look at that, we're over it and it's not. We're over it and it's not even doing it. That's bizarre. That is absolutely bizarre. On input touch, on component. Right. So that's a box collision, right? So I'll tell you what we'll do. Right, we're going to do something radical. Yes, we want to delete it. Go away. Right, we know. Go away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a cube. Okay. And then we're going to add the cube to here. We're just going to do a standard cube. And where did our cube go? Well, who knows? We're going to say block all. Okay. And we're going to say 0 and 0. Right. Then we're going to find our cube. And we're going to drag it up there a bit. I just want to see if the cube works better than a collision box, right? That's the method of my madness here. Right, so we basically need an X of like 1.2-ish. Okay, we'll go for 1.5. 1.5. And we'll say 1.5. Okay. And it's not really big enough, but anyway. I'll tell you what, we'll get this plane here. We'll set it to not visible. We'll get our box again. This is a lot of flapping about, so it better bloomin' do something. Right, and this is going to be 0.5. Right? And then that looks good to me. Okay? I'm going to say that looks good. So we save that. Right, we know you've got an error. Just don't annoy me. Okay. And in fact, what we'll do is we'll get our cube. And we'll say end cursor over as well while we're at it. And then we'll just move them both up. Right. Then we delete that. And that goes over there. And we put that there. That goes over there. We can save that. And let's try that. Okay. I forgot to make it hidden in game, but it doesn't really matter. The point here is just to check if we get more a better sensitivity result out of this, right? And it looks as if we do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop that just now. We're going to dismiss this. We're going to get our cube. And we're going to say invisible. So we're going to say hidden in game. Save that. Right. And we're going to test it now. So what we're going to do is click on that, click on that. So that's much better. Right, we don't get any flicker stuff. We don't get anything like that. It's just a solid line. That's what we want, right? That's much better. What is it, Jamie? Right. You do realise I'm streaming? Right, so that seems to be the resolution to our problem. Okay, if we use these little boxes as our actual, what do we call it? As our collisions, rather than the plane and everything else, right? And we could actually take the code off the plane. So it's 22.5, okay? So fundamentally, we go to buildings, and first things first, the miner. Okay. We've got our thing here, and then we add component, cube, then we go 2, 2, was it 0.5 or 0.25? Can't remember. Viewport. Perfect. Okay. And we basically just say block all. Actually, can we say block all? Hidden in game. Save that. Right. And now what we need to do with that is we need to do our on begin cursor over and our that one. Okay. And that's some interface calls, so imagine it's here. Yep. So we can add this one here. We can add this one here. I'm just wondering if there's something in the collision box that you can set it somehow to be like how sensitive it is or something. That's why it wasn't quite working right. Okay, but that's a bit of a weird one, all in all. So, position output, this box collision can go. Now that's weird, because that never had any code attached to it. Right, so we basically set this to 2.5. And block all. Save that. Then we come down here, cursor over, click on it again, and cursor over, grab these, move them up to here. Then we can drag this one in here, drag this one here, do that. Join this one up, save that. Then we can go to the smelter, and position out doesn't even have a box or collision, right? So we just do cube 2, 2.5. Now that doesn't seem right. It is in the center, but it's way too big in comparison to everything else. Let's do 1, 1. Then it's going to have to come up a bit. Well, that's going to be 0.25. Right. Then that's going to be block all, hidden in game. And then we're going to have cursor over and cursor over. Then we're going to drag them up as we did before. Sorry if this is a bit repetitive, guys, but sometimes that's how it goes. Drag this in. Drag this in. Save that. And on that, guys, I think I'll go and grab a cigarette. I shall be back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. In the meantime, hit that subscribe button. Check the description for Discord, Patreon, and my previous game on Steam. Back in a minute. Okay guys, we're back. So don't worry, I'm not going to leave these just named cube. I'm going to actually name them properly, but I'm not going to take the time to do it on stream right now. Because it wouldn't make for a very interesting viewing at all, even worse than this in fact. Right, so this box can go, and it's still weird how there's nothing connected to that. Right, so it still must be using the plane as the only thing. Right, so we've got our box. Right, and it looks like we're going to have to do a 2 and a 2. Actually, it's slightly bigger than that by the looks of it, 0.5. Right, this looks bigger than a 2 by 2 for some reason. It actually looks like 2.2. Right, and that's still not big enough. Is that 2.4? Right, 2.4 is going to do it. Right. Jammy, I'm streaming, mate. Right, so we need this above this. So we come down here. Block all. Then we do our cursor over. Click it again. Cursor out. Can join this up. And that will be done. Okay. Save all that. We don't really need to do it on the warehouse because I don't even know if the warehouse is actually going to do anything. Now, we did it on the miner, we did it on everything else, so we should be ready to have a little test of this. So click on the button and let's go. So we'll test it over on the miner to see if it works better. Much better. Oh, that is just so much better. Except for the fact that we now need to use that as a start. Okay, that was a little bit unexpected, but once I think about it, yep, obviously. Right, so we're going to have to use it as a collect event as well. So cube on collect. And now the interesting thing there. Yeah, okay. So this just goes here. Okay, let's try that and see how we go. Click on that, click on that. Ah, that's just so much better. None of this mucking about trying to get it to light up. See, this works much better. We need to make that invisible, but it should still work. It's not going to work because we need to do that one. Right, so we need to go around them all again and do this basically, which isn't a whole lot of fun, but alas, it needs to be done. Right, we can close that. Right, so we need the storage, which is this one, and we need this cube, and we need to make it invisible. Wow, did I make that big? Okay, so that's hidden in game. Then on clicked, and then we drag this up to the right place, which is here. And that goes on there. Save that. So that was the storage, and now we need the refiner. Click on cube, on clicked, then we drag this one up to the right place. Right, which is here. Pop it in there, save that. These planes can all go. The plane that highlights, all we need them to do is basically highlight and not highlight as necessary, and other than that we don't need them to do really anything. So in here we just do on clicked again. And it basically goes there. That's that. So that's the refiner, that was the fabricator. We've done the refiner. Yep. And we need to do the smelter. Click that. Then put it in there. Do that. Perfect. And so that's miner, refiner, storage, smelter, fabricator, miner. So that's everything so far. Okay. Bring that down a bit. And this should allow us to join everything up a heck of a lot quicker. Right, so click on that, set it up, widget, close, and now if we do that, then that, we can do the same again. That, and that. Oh, the one on refiner, we need to fix that. But this is working away, and this is much better. See how these are quite pernickety? Okay, so that went a bit wacky, and it's basically because I couldn't highlight it properly. So I think that's completely screwed now. We can try it. But I'm going to do the same for the inputs, because it is working a heck of a lot better with the cubes. So if you do L, and I don't know if this is actually going to go into here. Well, we need to wait and get a product out first. Here they come. And that doesn't look as if it even goes in. No, it doesn't. God damn it. That was an interesting one. But yeah, that works a lot better. So it was the refiner, I believe, that the cube was still visible. Yep. Not only that, it kind of needs to get a bit bigger as well. That'll do it. And we basically hidden in game, yep. And we'll move this just a shade forward. That'll do it. Save that. So now what we need to do is basically do them for the input as well. Okay. So we'll call it cube out. And then we have that plane, but we're not going to do anything with it. What we're going to do is we're going to remove this box here. Then we're going to duplicate this. Then we're going to drag it into here. And then we're going to zero it out. Okay. And then we're going to on begin cursor over. Right, so we're going to rename this. And this is going to be cube in. And then we're going to do that. And then we're going to do that. So we want this one first, I believe. So we do this here. And we do this one here. And that's an interface call, so it can't be that. That's process. And we are looking for plane 0, so this is it here. Okay. So we save that. And now, literally, we can remove that. Okay, we can leave the rest as it is. And we can remove that. And that. We can save that. Then we can remove that. And this one. Okay. So we basically need to do that for all of them, which is going to be a bit of a bummer, but it needs to be done, I suppose. So that's cube out. So we rename that to cube out. We remove this box. Click on there. Well, actually what we do is we duplicate that. We put it here. That's fine. And we say cube in. And we zero this out. Save that. We'll check it on the viewport. Right, so this is cube in. So we want this up a little bit. So I suppose that minus 20 was good. Right, we'll leave it at 25, that'll do. Okay. And cube in, we need to do that. that, and that. Okay. So we have this one, and we replace this one. So we do that, replace it, then replace this one. Sorry guys, this isn't exactly thrilling, is it? And we can delete that and put that there. And save that. So the next thing we need to do is have we done the refinery? We've got cube out, cube in. Miner, we've got cube out. But I think what we need to do is, well, we need to do that. Let's tidy everything up. Delete that. Delete that. Save that. Okay, that's that one done. And on the fabricator we need to create the other ones again. So I'm going to rename this to cube out. Okay, and then we delete the box. Oh, it's got bound events. Well, that's good, because now, well, we can delete that. So now what we can do is duplicate this again, and then put it in there, rename it, and it's going to be cube in, and then we're going to get cube in, cursor over, cursor end, and on clicked. Okay, and our two events here can go here and here. Delete that, place that in, delete that, place that in, and we can delete these ones out, tidy everything up. And hopefully that will see us okay. And now we need to put the last one in. Okay, that's a remnant over another day, that one. Right, so we can delete that and place that in its place. Tidy things up. unclicked. Oh. Oh. Okay. So this is going to be, yeah, that's going to be cube in. Right, now we're going to need to do, I'm going to leave this one for now, right, but I'm going to add it to here, but what I'm going to do, we're going to have to 0, 0, now this needs to be a tiny bit bigger. Possibly 0.8. 0.8. That's a bit bigger than the other one, isn't it, really? We'll call it 0.7 then. And if we've got a little bit of green showing, we've got a little bit of green showing, but it shouldn't make too much of a difference. So that's that one. And yeah, this is the fabricator, isn't it? So that's okay. And the smelter. So we've done the cube out. So we can rename that to cube out. Then duplicate it. And then drag it into here. Then remove this box. Rename this to cube in. Okay. And then cursor over, cursor end, and clicked. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll move that to there, and then we'll grab them. And that's going to go there and there. Then we're going to delete that. And then that's going to go there. Delete that. Bring it up. Do that. Connect it up. Delete that. Drag it down. And then this is going to go here. Connect it up. Delete that. Drag it up. You've got to do a lot of this, guys, right? You've got to do a lot of these things when you make a change. There's quite a lot of like subclasses need changed, and there's not really a lot you can do about it apart from just get on with it. Right? It's just one of them things. So that's them all set up, apart from the fabricator with the second input, which I'm going to have a look anyway. Yes, I know how to make a hole in a cube. You do an A minus B. So what you do is you get a cylinder, and then you apply what do you call it? It's like an addition, but you're actually doing a subtraction. So you basically select your cube and then select the thing that you're adding to it, or in this case subtracting from it. You select then a cylinder that you've already drawn, then you delete the cylinder. But the point is that you're left with a lot of open faces on the inside. Right, but that's how you do it. It's one of the modifiers. I can't remember which one it's called. As I said, I'm not a Blender guru or nothing like that, so we save all that and we can press play again now. What I'm going to do when I finish the stream tonight, well, I'm going to have a little refreshment or two, a little golden refreshment, shall we say, and I'm going to have a look at the issue with our collision of our meshes, or our splines anyway, to find out what is going on, because it is another little annoyance that needs sorted out. Right, it's not a game breaker for me at the moment while I'm developing, but I know it's an issue. So we're going to have a look at, but this was really annoying me, right? Let's try and draw the splines and it, oh, what's going on here? Smelter doesn't work. So smelter input isn't working, but we're checking everything else and that's all fine, right? And this is why we test. Okay, so we can stop that, and then we have to go back to the smelter, which funnily enough is the last one we've done. It's easy to do, Jammy, once you know which buttons to hit, right? But I can't remember off of the top of my head which button it is that you need to hit. Now, that should have worked, unless it was just not highlighting. Which doesn't make an awful lot of sense until it does. Let's begin cube out. Well, it wasn't cube out, it was cube in. Right, so it was these ones here. So we're going to have to add a breakpoint there. And then we're going to have to check it. I've not had a look, Jammy. I'm streaming. I don't know how you expect me to go onto Discord and check files and pictures while I'm streaming, right? I just don't understand. Right, so we're coming out of here. And this is not light up or clicking. And I'm gonna have to switch the mic off because my wife's about to return and my dog's about to go lunatic. So back in a second. You're obviously not listening, Jamie. I just said that my wife has just returned and the dog is going to go ape shit. So I basically turn the mic off when that happens until the dog calms down. But we're back now. Okay, so the problem was that I hadn't repositioned the N cube for the yeah, I've got a wife. What would you expect? Do you not think people have wives? Probably old enough to be your grandfather. Right, so we'll try this again. Oh yeah, they're not active yet, that's why. I was like, oh, I've just broke the whole bloody thing. Right, so there we go, we've got our breakpoint. Okay, so we can basically disable that. As I said, probably old enough to be a grandfather, right? That's all you need to know. And there we go. If only I was 18. Mate, if I was only 18, oh my god, what a life I would be having ahead of me. I can tell you that. Not quite that old. Right, and that seems a lot easier now to do the conveyor belts. It's a lot easier to hit the right points that you're trying to hit and make it work all better. So that's okay. I'm in my mid-50s, okay? If you're so enamored to know. Close enough. Right. So I think I'm going to call it right there because the next couple of things I need to do a bit of investigation on, right? I need to get Jamie off my back by looking at a model he's made. So for the next day or so, our issue is going to be fixing the start of the splines, right? Because you'll see that there's a space for some reason, don't know why. We're going to have to do a little bit with this when it cleans up. And as you see though, this coming out, this space is unacceptable. And then we need to check if the spline actually, see, that should be let's have a look. Right, as far as I'm concerned, that spline is definitely colliding with that model, right? There's no way you're going to tell me that that is not colliding. Okay, so we're going to have a little look at that and fix that as well. So we've got a couple of little spliney things to do, and we have, so we've got the collision on the spline, and I've completely forgot what the other thing was, right? And cleaning this bit up, you know, the little edges that are not quite right, so we need to sort that out as well. But otherwise we're looking good. So we were working on the graphs earlier, and these were all looking good. Now, is that, I bet you I didn't set that, and that's why that's not running. There's another little thing there that I need to fix. That these shouldn't have a recipe if the recipe isn't actually set. Okay, so that needs a little tweak as well, and just to get rid of some of these minor annoyances that make testing a little more difficult. So that is going to be the next day or so. We're going to have to work that out. Fix the spline, this gap that's missing, fix up the clearing of the splines, because that's what this issue is. It's the clearing of the original spline before we actually draw the final one. That's what this is. That's what this is as well, right? So that is what we're going to have a look at when we return. So if you've enjoyed the stream, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, check out the description for Discord and for my Patreon to support the game and my other game on Steam. So have a good night everyone, and I shall see you tomorrow at 2 PM Central. Bye bye for now.